ain't ranked, you're a G2. You be leaking on your game plans, man, you're see-through. We can take you off the checklist. If you have a death wish, we can play like Brexit and take you out the EU.
I mean, it's tricky because they're kind of being taken out of the EU because they won't be here next year. Super sad. Shout out to Rustage, by the way, for that awesome part of the Misfits rap in the rap battle. But Misfits do just as he said, and they come back in this one. You know, we got our super convincing game one, and then you get lured into the thought of, oh no, is G2 going to just make this a quick 3-0 and send Misfits home? But Misfits say no in kind of a different way. And Broxah, we saw adaptation coming out of both sides in terms of how they approach this game.
I was a little nervous for my 3-2 prediction after seeing game one, not gonna lie. I thought today would be a quick day, but very impressed with Misfits' adaptation. Starting out the draft, first picking Sejuani, a very different meta than what we saw yesterday in Rogue versus Matt, and just all 5 of them played so amazing. G2 had a comp with a clear engage with the TF that wanted to make plays around bot, but they never allowed it to happen, and Zanzarah found a lot of good opportunities himself, just snowballing so nicely.
And I actually think it was really difficult for Misfits to come back into this game as well, because going from a best of 5 point of view, the only way they really, you know, could fix their issues from first game was like, oh, let's not get invaded level 1. So you didn't really get too much intel of what the rest of the game was going to look like. But I think they came in with a very Misfits-esque draft, that you can see it here as well, where you finally have that Sivir to play for. We talked about it. Neon is your guy to play for if you want to make a difference in this draft. And having a Sivir where G2's main engage on towards you are the Vi, the TF, which can get spell shielded. You have the On, but that means all of these ultimates have to come down almost immediately on the same time to make sure this spell shield doesn't get the value.
Broxah, talk to me about how Zanzarah, now being on a Sejuani in the matchup early versus Vi, had more opportunities?
I feel like it came down to a combination of the Misfits bot lane managing the wave really well, setting up those ganks, because obviously he can't just magically make them happen, but they pulled the wave bot, G2's bot lane overextended, and Zanzarah was there, they just kept finding those openings. And what was impressive about it to me was not only Zanzarah looking out and seeing the gank opportunity, it's that Vetheo also moves down, matching Caps, so that Caps, despite playing Twisted Fate, could never create a man advantage for G2, and we see it here. Caps is holding, he comes down to bottom, but Vetheo is first, even though he's playing that Kali.
Yeah, and I think that's really impressive, considering that TF was the one that needed to make the move. We saw Caps try and do it level 5, but didn't really get it down, and they just continued to be Misfits that was making the attack first. Zanzarah in this reroll, realistically solo killing the enemy AD carries. He's really not having a good time, and I actually love the Glacial Orphan on the Sejuani coming through as well. The fact that you get the slow immediately when you land your Q to just solidify those extra damage. Yes, you have your slow on your W, but having those Glacial Rays that the opponent have to walk through to get out really make matters so much worse. And yes, there was a cleanse coming through on Flakked, but when there's so much CC that you need to be varied of, that summoner spell was pretty much off cooldown every single time because of any skirmish that happened.
Yeah, and it was then interesting because in the first game we saw that G2 definitely shut the door, but they did it through killing them everywhere, right? I feel like Misfits, they did similar things, but they also had a view on the entire map and how to really shut the door also in terms of objectives and getting that ball rolling, GB.
Yeah, I really think that it also came the fact that they had prior lanes, or they developed prior lanes into the mid game, because I think that the bot lane was pushed in the beginning, but after they had those 2 kills, now they could just rotate around with the Sivir. But another person we just haven't talked about was irrelevant on that Renekton into the own. He was forcing BB of these waves, making sure that they could always just walk up there and take the objectives in a game that was so bot side heavily focused. And I think that really opened up the pressure on the map in general when Misfits started to play the game, because, you know, there were only 4 kills ahead, but they still had like 5k gold lead. And just into context of what they came back for in this game, the first game they lost with a 19k deficit. They managed to pull themselves together and come back in this dominant fashion. That's so impressive out of these 5 players.
Yeah, like, honestly, I feel like best of 5s, it's so much about mental strength, the team atmosphere, just being able to help each other get back on track after a game like that. And Misfits not only being able to recover going into game 2, but doing it so impressively, where the only thing they gave up was the first dragon. Then they started taking Herald, they took second Herald, they found a lot of good fights. They just played so incredibly well as a team. Confidence, trust, it was all there. And after that poor game 1, that's a really good sign.
I wonder if we can get the picks and bans up again, because I'd love to look at this from the perspective of G2, right? We said in the first game that Misfits still hang on to their game plan. They made that front-to-back comp, but G2 disrupted it by their early game. Are there any choices you think should have been made differently with the Sivir in mind?
Well, I think some of the Vi picks we've seen in general, I'm not the biggest fan, or at least sold for when we are playing Vi here. I know why it can be good, but I think essentially also the mid lane pick with the TF coming through due to the fact that Caps looked so good when he had agency, when he was playing the Ahri, when he was taking charge, when he's playing the Twisted Fate where he's kind of facilitating the rest of his team. That lessens the pressure of that star mid laner you have as well. And I think when his ganks was shut down and answered so beautifully by Vetheo as well, it made matters really difficult for them to find a lead.
Why don't you like the Vi? You said here, do you mean like in Europe?
Yeah.
Explain.
So I think when we've seen a lot of them, they get drafted a little bit randomly, where just like, okay, let's pick Vi for the sake of it because we know it's a strong jungler. But Vi is one of these champions that's really good into champions where you have the lockdown and when there's facilitation of enemies to dive in with you. So that's either a Rakan coming through with you, or an Akali, for example. If you have the Akali Vi where 2 members dive onto you, then it's a really scary pick. But when you're the only one diving in, it kind of creates this position where it doesn't have the value that you want to out of it.
Okay.
It's also worth noting that here the Vi pick felt a little bit forced. Like, she has no one she can really ult, no target to go on, and I think the pick would have been a lot better for them if they had actually banned out the Sivir, perhaps instead of the Sylas. Sylas is a good pick, so I see why they would do so, but you need a good target to ult that you can go on. And I'm not a big fan of the Twisted Fate either into Akali. Traditionally, Akali is considered a counter pick into TF. And we saw it here, like Vetheo, he had so much control of his lane, he could roam, he could follow TF, and Caps just couldn't really do anything. I like the bot side focus, the idea of picking TF with the Lucian Nami, but against Misfits comp, you can't really do anything.
It's interesting, right? Because in the first game, we thought, oh, G2's coming out with this unconventional, wacky draft, you know, although we always know that G2 can pull something like that out, and they ruffle stomp Misfits. Now they go for something more measured, right? Something more stock standard, and then this happens. So why do they have to go back to the drawing board?
Well, I think now they're at even footing. Both teams tried to test them out in a situation where in the first game it was too much of the agency that Misfits couldn't deal with. Then they found a way to stabilize themselves. I think you're reset now in the approach of this best of 5, and I think G2 now as well realized that, you know what, this comp, it was too scattered in general. They now have that, what do you say, extra positive that they can suddenly be the one that needs to make the changes. And because of that, I think with the experience these players have, they know what they want to come in with. They know what adaptable changes they want to apply now.
This was also a draft that Misfits could actually be very comfortable with, something that they, I'm sure, have had a lot of practice against, because G2 just played a completely standard team comp. Misfits on their side played a comp where, sure, Renekton top is not what we expect from Valorant. We expect them to play a tank, a frontline, but overall, just a standard team fighting comp where as long as they don't lose early game, they're going to be more than fine.
We will be covering the draft in just a second. I'd love to highlight Neon just a little bit. As was told, could very much be the X factor. He had a fantastic game. When it comes to kind of your gut feeling as to how G2 should approach these coming bot lane matchups, would you rather see them on a Yasuo Senna, let's say, or something in that realm as opposed to a straight up Lucian Nami?
Well, I think if you want that Lucian Senna, it's because you want to shut down Sivir, for example, and you have members that can dive in with it, like we saw SK do earlier in the season as well. But I think Neon specifically is just such a great player that you need to shut him down if you want to beat the Misfits roster, or shut down the rest of the map so he never gets to play the game like we saw in game 1. So I think you can deal with Neon by not dealing with him.
Okay. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 ways you can approach it. Either you just ignore him completely and stomp topside with BrokenBlade on the carry.
Right.
Or you make sure that you get a better mid lane matchup for Caps, so Caps can actually get the mid prio, put Vetheo on the turret like we saw in game 1, and then roam and have an impact. Because here, Vetheo was part of the problem. He was always there. They couldn't do anything. He made Neon untouchable.
The cool thing about these best of 5s, GB, is that it evolves, right? We saw it yesterday. We saw big evolution coming in as the series progressed, especially in that game 3, 4, and 5. And G2 is moving to the blue side.
Yeah, I have a feeling that when G2 moves to the blue side, they're coming through with something kind of esque of what we saw in game 1 as well. I don't expect them to go for this kind of stock standard draft with neutral picks or traditional picks that we're so used to seeing in this meta. I think they want to throw in a little bit of a curveball, as they so often do, to give them that extra advantage. And just like I just quickly wanted to say as well, with like what Broxah is saying, huge prop to Vetheo. The fact that he managed to match Caps in this game in terms of moving on the map when he's playing the Akali really matters a lot. And it also shows that when Caps didn't get that early advantage as he did in game 1, the game actually became kind of hard for G2 to play as a whole roster.
One of the things I love about G2 is the fact that especially after a loss, you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
They are one of the hardest teams to draft against, to prepare against, because they just play the standard comp, which is great and all. But now, that didn't work. Well, what's going to come next? Are they going to pull out the Yone top? Are they going to have something that is completely different? Time will tell.
Well, we'll see what happens in this draft. Then Broxah speaking from experience, saying when you've pushed G2 down, they might come at you with something special.
And first of all, I'm curious to see G2's bans, because they've stuck with the same bans so far in the first two games. Yuumi, Trundle, and Poppy. We've also seen the Sejuani first pick twice. We see the Yuumi here already. And I feel like the bans for G2 are pretty solid, unless they want to pick up the Poppy or the Trundle themselves. I don't see why they would change it.
Well, the only reason you would change anything here is the fact that you want to take away the Sejuani. Both times been first picked by G2 and by Misfits. And of course for G2, I do suspect it to be a bit of a flex. Having that Trundle ban on 3 as well makes it so that, oh, you can't get the counter pick off Trundle through where you steal away the resistance with the ultimate. But now just having the same bans come through, yeah, I mean, to no surprise, we might just see Sejuani get locked in.
Isn't it so interesting how in different best of fives you see completely different priorities?
And that's one of the beauties about pro play, that usually the teams are screaming each other, then like different scrim bubbles, different metas are developing, and it's clear here, Misfits and G2, completely different meta than what we saw yesterday. Now, curious to see if Misfits are going to prioritize something like the Renekton, the Smart, maybe the Lulu, maybe the Sivir, something that can make sure that Neon and Mersa are going to be set up for success.
I think going for this rotation is really smart because you can gain so much top prio by having that Renekton earlier, and while there is a counter pick now available for BrokenBlade, if they decide to flex this Sejuani, they don't. That just means that you're put in a comfortable spot again, and you can now be banning away some of these other supports that's such a good pairing with a Kalista now that you had to go for the jungle and AD carry rotation. And if this were to come through, it's actually really good into a short-range champion like the Kalista, and there we have it. It makes a lot of sense, and it's comfort for Zanzarah.
Yeah, it's not just Skarner, it's Zanzarah.
Yeah, for sure. And actually interesting that G2 decides to break the Sejuani flex pick so early instead of waiting to 4-5.
Yeah.
It shows clearly that they value having a strong mid matchup, a strong support matchup, looking for the counter pick, and at the very least one of their roles so they can, you know, make sure that the bot side of the map goes a little better this time around. Curious to see the Skarner playing on a champion that we see much nowadays. Wukong on the other side for Jankos, one of the strongest junglers we have currently. But, you know, as you said, Zanzarah and Skarner, maybe some magic is underway.
Yes, I think coming through with the bans as well, Silas, just like one of these contested pick in between the both mid laners here. And it wouldn't even surprise me to just see them go for a mid laner for Vetheo if they want to go for one of these control mages instead, or go for the Ahri Talia that's available, just to get that support counter matchup. When you are playing against Kalista lane, it's so important that you stabilize the lane, and yeah, Ahri coming through just to make sure that they have it stabilized down there.
Yesterday you said, Broxah, that you consider Kalista actually the strongest AD in the meta right now in that situation, so there's going to be a lot of necessity for this bot lane to perform.
Yeah, for sure. Kalista is incredibly strong in the early phases of the game, and with a strong support next to her, perhaps it's going to be something like a Nautilus. It can be pretty hard for difficult to survive the early laning phase, but Misfits, they're going to have really good scaling with Sivir. And the comps are kind of interesting in the sense that on G2 you have the super strong bot lane with the Kalista, and on the other side, Misfits, they're Renekton, they want to snowball top. So, pretty interesting how this draft is developing, and now I just want to see a very strong support next to the Kalista, so G2 has a lane that's simple, easy to play through. Azir is going to give the mid prior versus Ahri, and they should have an opportunity to make some plays down the bot lane. Okay,
this is going to sound... Oh, okay, so you pick a Kalista up with Tahm Kench. Not the strongest pairing. You can play the Tahm Kench quite aggressive if you want to nowadays as well, but this also opens up if you want to play any enchanters. Unfortunately, both Lulu and Yuumi has been banned, so they might match the engage, they might match the speed up. Even with a Karma here would be fine. Having Karma movement speed, having the Siddler, you have to already have the front line with Skarner and the Renekton, so I think right now you can pick anything out the litter right now if you're Misfit. Yeah, I think something that just stabilizes. You don't want to engage and contest the bot lane, you want to stabilize your bot lane down there.
and you also have a Braum that can protect your Sivir in team fights, because there's no doubt with the Kalista, with Wukong Sejuani jumping at you, perhaps a Shurima shuffle from Azir, it's not going to be that easy for Neon to play these late game team fights, but with Braum in front of her, she might have a chance to pop up.
The only one I feel bad for in these team fights is going to be Irrelevant, because he's playing into a lot of range here, he's playing into a lot of kite, and like you'll have your pressure on the side lane with the Blade of the Ruin King rush into the Sejuani. But outside of that, if you don't get resources, they can even camp it with an auto-attack reset jungler, like the Wukong as well, that's so efficient up towards that ganking top lane. So I actually think G2 Esports in the early game have lots to play for, whereas Misfits, they need to wait for that level 6 for Zanzarah to come through to really be effective and leave their mark.
Okay, when it comes to the things we've seen that are the same, you know, we've got Sejuani again, we've got the Renekton, we've got the Sivir, but how do you feel in general? Both teams have evolved their drafts going into this game 3.
I feel like G2 now has shown that they want to be able to contest early. They have a strong jungler in Wukong into Skarner. I would like to see Jankos playing slightly aggressive, contesting Skarner early on, secure the mid prior for caps in the Azir, and then make sure that Kalista can actually snowball bot. On Misfits, it's a bit the opposite. You have Ahri, the playmaker, who wants to contest the Azir, who wants to fight around mid, especially when Skarner is level 6 and who just wants to protect the bot lane.
Okay, let's see what happens. Misfits fought themselves back into the series 1-on-1 right now. Let's see what happens in game 3 between G2 and Misfits.
Welcome to Summer's Rift.
G2 Army out in force, getting the collapse together as we get ready for game 3. Game 1, game 2, very one-sided. Winning the early game. Of course, hugely important. The team that was winning out early brought it home. I can't read that sign or I would reference it.
Yeah, I couldn't read it either. It said dressed up as something, and I missed it.
Yep. But you can hear the crowd, despite Misfits commanding
Can
win.
you? Huh, didn't notice.
Well, actually, I don't know if they can, but I can. So I'm going to share that information with the people at home.
There are a lot of cool skins in this game. I didn't even know Ahri had that chroma. I kind of want it. What, I'm a big Ahri enjoyer. What do you want from me? It's a cool
Drakos is the look.
This is game 3 of a playoff series, and you are talking about chromas?
But that's a really cool
That is a Drakos move. I respect
It is a Drakos move, actually.
It's a good chroma.
Caps is doing the faker thing, though, with like no skin. I'm cool. I'm edgy.
I'm edgy.
Actually, the base Azir skin is one of the nicest to play with, I have to admit.
Yeah, he doesn't have that great skins, does he?
Whoa, bro.
Well, he doesn't.
Come
It's
on.
Azir, dude.
Base skin is nice, but no level 1 shenanigans this
Hang
time
on a
around
second.
from either
What are you
side.
talking about no level 1 shenanigans? Look.
Zanzarah is actually on the enemy red. How's he got there? Did he get spotted on a ward? Is that Raptor's ward enough to see if he hugged the wall, I wonder?
Hang on, wait.
Is he?
You know, Jankos is blue side, and he just stole the red buff. Blue.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jesus, what has happened? I've been focusing too much on your Ahri skin. Stop it, Vedius.
It's G2 that have done
Yeah,
the
it's
invade.
G2 who's done the invade. Did they actually...
They just delayed invade, and they just walked in and they took
delayed
it.
invade and they took
then
it.
Zanzarah started
Surprising.
top side.
Enemy team has a Braum and they just ran in. So good level 1 from G2. Gonna take away, see how many camps he takes away here. Jankos is gonna take away the blue Braum. He's gonna get the wolves as well, level up to 3, and then go back to his bot side, I imagine. Question mark pings on
He's
his
getting
own
all
blue.
3 of these camps, isn't he?
Yeah, and G2 can play as aggressive as they want now. Yes, the Braum lane is good, level 1 and such like that and so forth, and intermediate champs like the Nautilus and the Tahm Kench can work in the 2v2s, but Misfits just have to give up the push at this point. We'll see if G2 look for any early dives, because Zanzarah will finish his Raptors here.
And I want to look at this jungle matchup through the lens of Zanzarah's performance, because obviously game 1, Zanzarah, relatively invisible. Game 2, a completely different story. Both of these junglers really dictating the pace for their respective teams. Game 3 obviously remains a question. Already we've had this unique level 1 start. The map seemingly split as... Now we might have the 1v1. I feel like Skarner wins this if he gets the Shrine. I'm not Captain Flowers, but I feel like the general rule is don't fight on the Shrine.
That
red
is the
buff as
general
well.
rule. Look, Renekton also has the push. Irrelevant is on his way down. The big question is, what will Caps do?
I think Jankos is doing the smart thing. He knows he can't fight his blue and Grub. Renekton has too much push. Vetheo is a lot stronger than Caps in early skirmishes, so he's just going to take the wolves and back off, I imagine. He has got a 3 camp lead from the bot side. Zanzarah will match that with 2 camps here, so he should still have a net +1 if he goes back into his bot side here. And that's exactly what he will do. So good response there by Zanzarah after getting invaded on level 1 again. A lot of level 1 invades over the last couple of days, and then he'll probably move towards the top grab. He should know that the wolves are down, but maybe he wants to check them.
He's just going to get that little bit of vision, or at least that check.
But props once again to Irrelevant. In the Renekton matchup, you need to be aggressive early on, and he's doing a great job. Having that push allowed him to assist Zanzarah, which means that he's not going to be put that far behind. Will be able to secure himself a blue buff, even as an ever so slight gold lead, but not that it really matters this early on into the game. Once again, irrelevant.
Zanzarah's here, no flash from BrokenBlade, of course. There's the Q.
Ooh, just barely getting in a range for that W there at the end. Credit to him for using the E to dash past his Sjokz W, making sure that the stun could not come through, the BrokenBlade could not trade back or disengage, not able to make the gank happen, but a positive trade nonetheless.
Yeah, also try and block the Q from the Sejuani as well. Didn't manage to do it there, irrelevant. Targamas on a ward. Zanzarah knows he's there. Bot crap hasn't been taken yet. Vetheo already been forced to TP back. Cap still has his bot lane push to mid to help out Caps, and then Neon and Mersa will take a base.
The G2 fans still cheering loud. Every time the Misfits chants, trying to get in there, and G2 fans are shutting them down. Hoping to see the same thing from their team on stage as Irrelevant and BrokenBlade trade back and forth. Irrelevant still trying to step forward here a little bit. Relatively short range on the E from Sejuani, the stun follow-up, so just trying to play on the edge of that. And already a tense early game, but again, no action quite yet.
Of course, Irrelevant has to respect the fact that BrokenBlade just got a base in. Does come back with a little bit more resources, which does make this skirmish a little bit harder for him. So he's going to play defensive. I expect him to look for a back relatively soon. Depends what he wants to ideally go back on. But of course he does have the TP to then return to lane. There is a bot wave stacking. I'm keeping my eyes on the map right now, seeing levels come across, wondering if G2 may be considering a dive, but then Neon's immediately going to start clearing that one out already.
That's the power of Sivir as well. You can actually thin waves out pretty easily. You know, if this was something like an Ezreal with farm max range, Sivir can just drop a WQ, thin the wave out in case they are stacking for a dive, just like that, to stop them from being able to stack that wave. Yes, Jankos on the bot side, they have confirmation that he's there. He does get spotted on a ward. Irrelevant's HP has the Vamp Scepter, has TP back, does have a refillable, will lifesteal up a little bit, and BrokenBlade extremely low on mana now. Might have to take a base of his own. Zanzarah's here to cover his respawn camps that Jankos took away.
Zanzarah
pushing for a little bit more. Jankos stunned up, still should have the clone to walk away from this one. Mersa and Neon stepping forward on the bottom side. Jankos holding onto that clone as long as possible. Will use it now as he sees Mersa coming in. Flash out from Jankos. Saw Mersa there. Mersa, of course, could leap to Zanzarah. Make sure that they land that stun. Targamas still staying around here, flirting a little bit with disaster.
Braum really powerful in early skirmishes. Jankos loses his flash. He knows if he gets stunned there, then Mersa could Q flash exhaust and they could probably chase him through a flash. They have got heal though. No ignite on the side of Misfits in this 3v3. W will connect.
Coming in, two-man knockup. No, Neon blocking with the spell shield is going to be big. Mersa now trying to retreat, but it's Jankos. No flash is now going to be in trouble. Zanzarah going to try to finish one. He's going to grab the kill. First blood going over. Zanzarah still a force to be reckoned with, but trying to make it out. Flakked going to try to pull the spears out in a moment's notice. Will finish one back in exchange, but the solo kill in mid lane. The moment that we miss is Caps takes down Vetheo.
Caps does indeed 1v1 Vetheo. I think maybe Vetheo was looking bot and trying to roam down. We'll see the replay in a second. 1-for-1 bot, but Caps stepping up already in game 3.
Wow. I was just about to praise Misfits and how well their bot lane was playing, and then Caps does Caps things, finds a massive kill and a much needed kill for G2 as Misfits were slowly starting to take control.
It's very surprising to see an Azir solo kill an Ahri at 6,
yes,
especially when Ahri has ult and flash. It's really hard. Maybe it's Vetheo who opted into the fight, and it's Caps
even has his ult
closed
still.
it out. Does he still have his ult? Let's have a look at this again. So Vetheo level 6, Caps level 6. What happens here? Vetheo's trying to crash the wave. Does walk forwards, missing the charm. Dashes away with his ult. Dashes back in.
Oh,
no. This is just...
That is
Caps
just...
has Q up again, I presume.
Honestly, that is just such a massive misplay from Vetheo. He played right in the middle of the soldiers, 2 of them nonetheless, and Caps just straight up punishes him for it. Really well played there by Caps.
Really well played, and then the knockup tries to connect. Neon spell shields it, so then they're onto the Braum, but Jankos has no flash. Exhaust already propped onto him. Heal comes through, ignite onto Mersa, but the spears are stacking into Zanzarah to make this a 1-for-1. Who flash forward to help out in that 3v3.
Yeah, and I think that was the important thing. The fight, while it looked like Misfits had the numbers advantage, because Mersa was forced to flash out, it ends up just being a 2v2, and Sivir just doesn't have that much damage this early on into the game, and Flakked was able to, at the very least, get something back. So, not the end of the world for G2 by any means. They keep the gold even, mid and AD carry, securing a much-needed kill.
Herald is up as well. We'll see if Misfits want to crash this bot wave, try to get Neon up there. Jankos on the way to contest his red. Has the level 6 advantage. No flash on Zanzarah. E already used. He's going to slide it away.
Level 6.
Takes the red buff, and now it's a 1v1.
Yeah, but he's got to keep an eye on who is moving on the map. He sees Caps already on his way. Says, you know what, I can't afford to take this fight. Irrelevant. Making the same call. BrokenBlade is in a position to assist. Both supports have made their way up towards the mid lane, with the Herald alive and well. You imagine that both teams are looking to contest, and here comes Neon from the bot lane.
Yeah, 5v4. Neon's here first, but Targamas is going in.
Targamas potentially overcommitting here, leaping out instantly, flashing to safety. They're questionable on the engage there, but the collapses Flakked now coming up on the way there. Flakked now locking down BrokenBlade, looking for the stun, denying the Q over the wall. It's clean play. BrokenBlade locked up. BrokenBlade taken down. Man advantage for the side of Misfits.
Mersa might be in trouble. Cap still has the ult goes wide from Mersa. Does Vetheo dash in here? Jankos is going to use his escape caps as well. That's going to be a 4v5, but they're lacking ults here. Misfits. Mersa is low. Maybe G2 want to fancy themselves a fight here.
Fake's call, but Targamas has no flash, so if they go in, they cannot get out. Charm connecting on the Caps and Massive. Look at the instant follow-up. Misfits know they have the advantage, and they push it forward. They're going to get the Herald too.
And Misfits once again come up clutch in the early game. Irrelevant following up on the charm from Vetheo was a must-needed play, and Zanzarah showcasing why this champion is so well known for him.
Still fighting here. No flash on Jankos. Irrelevance here too.
Goes pulling away.
Takes the blue.
Flakked on the way forward. Fate's call has now been used. Irrelevant still has the stun prep. He needs to dash out over the wall. They've got enough CC to lock him down, and they will take him out. G2 firing back.
Massive bot wave stacking as well in favor of G2. Whoever bases and catches that will be the beneficiary of this whole play. It's a 5v4, but it's Vetheo who sets it up with the charm flash, I believe. It was just a dash forwards charm. It was irrelevant to flash forwards with the stun. A lot of follow-up from Misfits, and they have so much single target CC. The charm, the Renekton W, the Braum passive when it procs, the Skarner E. The second one person gets locked down, there's a lot of follow-up.
And then, of course, Zanzarah thought that he could contest the blue buff, and at the time he could, but the collapse from the rest of G2 was too good, and Irrelevant lost his life as a result.
And Misfits reassigning their bot lane to the top side, or at least Neon for now. Makes sense when you see how strong Flakked is in the 1v1, but BrokenBlade has he been caught out here?
4 seconds, 3 seconds.
Be working with the ulti waiting. They wait for BrokenBlade to leap away. He can walk in, he can drag him right under the tower if he wants to, but BrokenBlade buying as much time as possible. Now pulling him in, the chain CC is going to start too. That's the concussive blows. It's going to take a little while to cut him down, but BrokenBlade will fall. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, G2 firing back.
This is 3 kills on Neon this early in though. The Sivir 3-0. They have Herald too, so as much as G2 will respond by getting these bot plays, Zanzarah can use the Herald top if he wants to match the tempo on this tower and maybe even get a step ahead. G2 going to respond with that pick with a dragon of their own. Vetheo just hovering out of vision just to make sure anyone of G2 tries to defend top. He will roam down there. Does BrokenBlade TP top here? I think he's going to have to avoid it and run towards mid. He will get dove if he commits into this.
All of this money will be funneled into Neon. The cross map is happening from G2. This should give Misfits a slight tempo advantage. You can now see BrokenBlade coming back out onto the map. The main thing delaying G2 right now is the fact that they are yet to secure this Drake. Misfits should be able to push in a wave, and they're going for another tower.
Yeah, if this crashes, they're going to get 2 towers here. Jankos is on the Drake. They hear the dragon die, and they know that he's bot side, and Vetheo can hover top. They can just siege this tier 2 down. Flakked's showing, Targamas was showing. This is good macro so far by Misfits.
This last plate just takes a year to kill. It takes so much time for Flakked down here to take it. He will finally knock the tower down, but the tier 2 will fall in favor of Misfits, and now there is so much money in the back pocket of Neon. And remember, when Misfits were doing okay, they were doing solid last season, were making their way into playoffs, it was Vetheo the lone carry on this team. This time around, however, Neon and Vetheo both rising up in the regular season, rising up in the second half to bring them to where they are, and that is Neon in Game 2, a story that's continuing here in Game 3.
I mean, we had a super contentious AD carry pool based on who is actually top 3 in the region, and I think that, like, it was hard not to put Neon in the conversation, right, because of how much he has stepped up throughout the year. He obviously had a very solid spring, but it feels like he's gone an even level above here in summer. And it's often why the conversation around Misfits is not simply that this is the Vetheo show. Neon has definitely been alongside him in terms of taking on that carry role.
And the AD carry pool in Europe has shifted and grown. You know, you think of Comp and Unforgiven and Neon. These are fairly new names to the league. Flakked as well. When in the past times you would think of Upset, Reckless, and the likes of Hansama and such, right? So the AD carry pool is shifting and evolving and so contentious right now for the top spots. AD carry Neon 3-0 on the Sivir now has his mythic building towards his second item. Most gold in the game. A lot of funnel from him, from Misfits into him, and a lot of setup around him with the Skarner, the Ahri, and the Braum. It's on him to play these team fights well and execute them.
And what makes me laugh is often when we think about jungle support, it's always around mid, right? It's jungle support mid, it's that synergy. But when we look at this scoreboard and when we look at this team, it's jungle support AD carry, right? It is Neon that is always the beneficiary, at least in this series, of all of these kills, these objectives, these resources. And you can see that so far, jungle support AD have been involved in all 4 of their kills. If stuff is happening, it's around these 3 for Misfits.
See if they can keep this momentum going. So much has been done to weather the early game storm of the Kalista. Will still be difficult for the Renekton or the Skarner to lock her down as she gets more items under her belt, but we know what the Sivir can do if we go late enough.
And I think the Sivir will struggle a little bit against Caps and the Azir here. A lot of range on this champ. That's why Caps picked it into the Sivir, because Misfits fairly low range. Yes, they can single out one champion, but the Tahm Kench pick should help avert things like the Skarner ult and the flash forwards from Renekton. Misfits putting themselves in a 1-3-1 situation here with this Ahri Renekton just trying to get their bot lane mid, contest these waves, get them in. No neutral objective for a minute 30 seconds on that Herald.
And big that Misfits have held on to their lead, because G2 obviously would love to be in a position where they had come out just a little bit on top in the early game. So buying something like a QSS to mitigate the impact of a Skarner would be a more viable option. But when you're already behind in gold, spending 1,300 on a QSS is so crippling to your damage output in fights. It's a difficult position for G2 to be in, at least for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Now, the game naturally slows down. No real objective on the map to play for. A minute until the next Herald. G2 just contesting for a little bit of vision, but it's mainly just a back and forth of wave players. Zanzarah looking for a pick though.
They have Kalista ult. He needs to be careful not to overcommit. If that was any other AD carry champion, maybe he could have flash ulted there and secured some topside vision, but of course the Kalista is on the enemy team. He needs to look for the Kalista. Targamas and Flakked need to hold each other's hands, because they can both bail each other out of a Skarner ult, right? The Kalista ult, the Tahm Kench ult, they should be pretty safe if they stay together. It's only when they split up that maybe Zanzarah can find that target. So we'll track how well they hold hands together. Cap's going to get the blue buff, 30 seconds on that second Herald, which could crack open a mid tower. I think both teams want to fight for it. Irrelevant will catch this bot wave. Vetheo will push out top, ding over to level 11. And now the top side begins.
Mersa, good sidestep, good pull back. Doesn't hurt G2 to fish for that one. Would have liked that to connect, maybe get something a little bit more there, but Zanzarah already in the area. Caps continues to push out on the top side, has the crown, the luxury of the extra safety from the initial burst to come out from anybody.
Just keep my eye on the map and seeing where everyone is posting themselves up right now. Irrelevant will be alone on the bot lane. The Herald has now spawned, and G2 with their numbers advantage is in a better position with already having control over the river. Irrelevant now making his way up. Does have the TP if he wants to, but no real wards to teleport to. Misfits definitely looking to contest this, but I think they're a little late on the play.
There's the TP, Vetheo from top side, G2 picks it, but they turn.
Against the Kalista, it's so hard to make anything happen. Zanzarah immediately gonna get deleted, no, making out safety, maybe just barely. Zanzarah running for the hills, the rest of Misfits trying to hold on. Zanzarah burning down to the backside of the fight. Keep your eyes on Vetheo, maybe he can get something done. Irrelevant now running. The fourth stack waiting for that last auto, getting over the wall just barely, but it is G2's fight. It will be G2's Herald. Irrelevant flashing, but he just gets cut down.
Really good turn there from BrokenBlade and Targamas, straight onto the Skarner, straight onto Zanzarah. Misfits' main kind of force of engage, most biggest threat on the map. Neon's just going to abandon topside, run and try and push out bot. Vetheo will do the same in mid. TP from BrokenBlade towards this bot side to stop this bot tier 1 from falling. It's all G2.
It was G2 that had control over the river initially. It was Misfits that was forced to come in to them and try to create this pincer attack. But BrokenBlade, with his initiation onto Zanzarah, was so clutch that it basically removed one of the initiations from Misfits right at the start of the fight.
Yeah, it's BrokenBlade with the Q ult to the side, and then it's Targamas who follows up with the knock. Caps is there with the push. Zanzarah dies to the ticking red smite, I believe it is, in the ignite. Mersa goes in, but he just gets melted by Caps, and Irrelevant and Vetheo are just two splits from Neon, who gets zoned away by Jankos. That there's no front to back alive for Misfits left.
And you talked about the strength of the Tahm Kench. Targamas with a clutch eat there to keep Flakked alive, to allow him to heal up, to continue auto-attacking. He was on the verge of death. If he had gone down, that would have been a big shutdown in the back pocket of Misfits. But really everything going in favor of G2 in that play.
Certainly did, and you can see the damage coming out from the carries of G2. While it hasn't resulted in a massive gold lead as of yet, securing that Herald and securing that fight definitely evens up the game a lot more. When you look at Misfits' composition, you keep your eyes on Neon. You see he's still yet to die. He is this massive hyper carry, and as the game goes on, he's only going to continue to grow as a threat. But Caps is level 12, 2-1 and 2, continues to mount items on this Azir. Flakked on this Kalista now secured the Rage Blade as well. We're in for some very hectic fights, and I feel like these are the fights that we were looking for. Game 1 was a stomp from G2, Game 2 is a stomp from Misfits. Now we're tied, pretty even, as we get to the mid-game, and it's all going to come down to these big dragon fights, these big neutral fights, as Misfits look for a pick.
Caught out is going to spin, now leaping away. They're waiting for him to reveal himself. The second spin now coming out, bringing him back into the team. But Targamas there with the E. Devour down, Jankos ulti down, but there are no major objectives to play for, so it doesn't really cost G2 anything unless G2 can press their advantage, or Misfits rather.
That's exactly it. They had to invest the flash ult from Tahm Kench, and they had to invest the Wukong ult, so Misfits should be able to get this mid tier 1. There's not a lot of threat on Misfits. They see Cap spot, they see BrokenBlade pushing out top. They have 5-member split. Tower will fall, so that's the objective they'll get for that attempt on a pick. Vetheo will go catch side waves. Irrelevant will do the same. But no objective yet for a minute 48 on that Baron.
I like
Still
this.
3 minutes from the Dragon. Yeah, the Herald mid smart because they still have to catch side waves on their solo lanes. Irrelevant can afford to give it up because top tier 1 is down and there's a long way away for that wave to crash. Vetheo will push out and he has TP of his own. Now it's G2's turn to group up as 5 and try and get this mid tier 1. Does Misfits want to engage? Vtheo's off to the side.
So they're not super confident in this, but Targamas no flash, remember.
Potentially going to get locked up. Fate's call, where's he going to go? Taking their time. Jankos now turning back into the fight. Has to be careful. Uses the clone to disengage. G2 playing a bit on the edge here. Looking for an opportunity. Looking for a window for now. Just going to take away the blue buff.
Not too much burned on either side.
But Misfits back into the mid lane. Now they're the ones setting up for the push. I doubt they're going to convert this into much. People need to reset. A lot of health has been burnt and a lot of money still needs to be spent. But Caps back in the side lane once again. Level 13 now. Highest level in the game. He's done a great job of catching these waves whenever he can. 215 CS at 19 minutes. Caps is just continuing to scale up to be this monster.
I mean, 1.2k individual advantage. No surprise to see Caps when he's given this carry, when it's not something about utility like the Twisted Fate, that he can take that role very easily onto his shoulders. Just continuing to CS here, maybe hoping to bait Vetheo forward, but Vetheo no mana will be forced to retreat. Important to note, G2 incredibly fast Baron, Azir, as well as the Kalista. Shred through it very quickly. Misfits have to be careful around that objective.
Definitely, and I think that Caps is, of course, 1 level up over Vetheo now. Very close to that level 14. He has a Crown of the Shattered Queen, he has a Tahm Kench, he has an Azir ult. There's so many peeling tools that he has on top of the range that he has over Neon. It's going to be really tough for Misfits to actually get on top of Caps and make that pick happen. They're going to have to flank him from a different angle or have Irrelevant look for some kind of TP ward behind them or something, because Caps will be relatively safe in these fights. Misfits going to struggle against the Azir the later that game goes, despite having that Sivir scaling.
Caps is literally about to hit level 14. He's going to catch this wave, tick over once again.
Highest level player in the game by a decent margin. It is a terrifying prospect, of course, with Azir. It's all about getting set up first. If you can lay the Sand Soldiers down, if they're fighting into you, very easy fight to play out. Misfits, of course, with the Sivir ultimate have the luxury of that extra movement speed. Zanzarah with the Chem Tank ready to run forward. If they can find picks, maybe they can start a fight off on their terms. But if Targamas can save that eat for Caps in a fight, it is so hard for Misfits to do anything.
It's always fun watching Caps play champions like Azir because I feel like he plays them somewhat differently to many other Azir players. He's always looking for that opportunity to make the highlight play, kind of swing the fight in his favor. And on the Crown, you do have that initial window at the start where you can mitigate some of the burst, and then you have the ability to disengage with both your ultimate and the Tahm Kench as well, and there's good follow-up. So I wonder how aggressively he's going to play this champion. Now both teams posturing around, trying to gain control over this mid lane. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. Irrelevant did get the push in bot. Vetheo has the TP, but it looks like G2 are going to be first on the objective once again.
Who's going to pull the trigger first? Jankos could be the main form of engage next to BrokenBlade. TP from Vetheo on the top side of mid to get this next mid wave in. G2 are in the bot side river. Misfits will be first to this wave. It's just a question of how can Misfits face check this. There's only 2 members here. They have to be careful here. Mersa and Irrelevant, they're very split.
They already used the W, has to back off, using the E pretty early. Jankos poking for a bit of extra damage. Jankos still going to get knocked up. They can instantly look for the follow-up. Jankos now going to be in trouble. The E coming out very early, and instantly they shift their attention onto the Kalista. That's going to be massive. FLICKR trying to flash out to safety, but there's just too much damage. Misfits coming in the clutch. They do not hesitate. They find their window of opportunity. Caps holding on, but Neon flashing in fearlessly. It is Jankos versus Vetheo and Irrelevant at the final moments. He may have survived the initial burst, but he will not survive the final exchange. Misfits take the fight.
They're going to get an ace, and they're going to get a dragon as well. A very uncharacteristic mistake there from Jankos, going a little bit too deep, which means the Eats was gone, the Tahm Kench ult was down, and Zanzarah was very quick to punish that.
He certainly was. Wow, Zanzarah, he had his eyes on his targets. As a Skarner player, you've always got to think carefully, who can I hook, and when is the time to do it, and just watch his reaction speed, because this is the mistake you're talking about, Caedrel. Jankos aggressively going onto the Braum, just sets up for the re-engage from Misfits.
Yeah, Braum ult was fantastic. Renekton W to follow. Watch Zanzarah here, instantly flash onto Flakked, and then it's Neon who dishes out so much damage, all of them clumped up. Watch him on the Sivir here. First he steps forwards and takes out Flakked. Then he takes the next member down of G2, which is Targamas, who's next to hit in his face, the closest in range, but then it turns into a 1v1 almost. It's Caps versus Neon, and Neon flashes forwards on top of him to take him out, knowing that the only way they lose this fight is the Azir lives. And I think he might have if he could get a little bit more distance from this top and mid lane of Misfits. Irrelevant Vetheo on the Ahri and the Renekton, but no, Neon just flashing forwards to make sure that kill comes through.
What's crazy is how much damage Neon was actually doing passively. Like, if you watch the bouncing boomerangs, Caps like lost half his health without really being involved in the fight, and it was just because of how easily it is for this Sivir boomerang to hit onto the backline. You can see it on your screen right now. 5,000 damage. Zanzarah finds another hook.
Locking up Jankos. Jankos leaving back in the team. They're going to try to burst him down before he manages to get anything done. He has to retreat. They know they cannot use the Tahm Kench eat one more time on the Wukong. They will lose the fight if they devour Jankos. Jankos going to get taken down here. There's no way he makes it out. Goes Golden. Caps waiting for an opportunity. BrokenBlade trying to leap his way out of the fight. It's a split exchange. It's a split skirmish, but Misfits turning back towards the Baron.
Yeah, they know that Caps can peel there with the Azir ult. It'll push Zanzarah in a relevant away. They can't finish off the stopwatch, but Jankos is too low to contest this. We talked about G2 having a fast Baron, but Misfits have a 3-item Sivir. This is going to get melted. Jankos won't be in the vicinity. G2 need to stop this 4v5. They have to engage.
Jankos, you want that clutch play from Caps. You need to see it now because this should be theirs. They take it. Jankos, can they find the follow-up fight? Misfits on the retreat now. Targamas managing to lock up 2. The Braum response. Flakked off to the side. Untouched. G2 finding out more than they can chew. Caps off to the side. Irrelevant leaps over the wall. They get one pick on the back end of the fight. Mersa has to be careful. Caps sweeping in. Neon goes golden into the waiting arms of G2. Jankos looking to cut him down. A shutdown under the Sivir, but Vetheo still standing. Vetheo still clutch, maybe enough, but he does not have the ultimate. He can't make it out. The charm going in, but the spear from downtown and a triple for Flakked.
And Caps comes up clutch once again. He's able to find the play that even at a numbers disadvantage ends up working out for G2. While the Baron does go down, G2 are the victors.
So the Baron does go down indeed. Misfits pick it up, and it's a 1-for-1 exchange to begin with. Irrelevant gets chunked out a little bit, and it's BrokenBlade who loses his life first. Targamas going in with him. The Fate's Call saves him. Mersa, I believe, dies too, or no, it's Zanzarah, sorry, who dies. And then Misfits try to run away. Cap says we can't let them get out with this Baron. Neon stopwatches the Azir ult, maybe thinking he's going to get pushed into G2. Perhaps could have saved that to kite back a little bit, but nevertheless, G2 stack up, they get the kills, and they manage to get Neon down. And once he's down, Caps can run up towards this top side and live. Vetheo tries his best, but the spears are there. And Flakked gets the triple.
I feel like there was a bit of hesitation there from Vetheo because he had the flash, he saw the HP from Caps. He maybe even had cooldowns, which is why he didn't go for it, but you could see he was thinking in his head, if I can just flash onto Caps and use my W or my Q, then I can turn this fight, I can actually win this for us. But wasn't able to do it, ends up losing his life. G2 walk away with all 5 members dead on the side of Misfits.
Yeah, Baron buff gone off of Misfits now. We're sitting at a 400 gold lead for G2, which doesn't really mean much at this point in the game. 2 minutes on the next dragon. Both these teams so evenly matched. 2 stomps in the first 2 games either side, and now in game 3 here, very close and tense game. 25 minutes in, I don't think anyone would have really expected this out of Misfits.
Misfits definitely showing us more than initially expected. A very tense game 3, as you highlighted, Caedrel. No QSS is coming out for the Skarner quite yet. Looks like a GA being built for Flakked. Wants some survivability in the fights to come. Similar story for Neon on the opposite side. He's already used his stopwatch, however. Vetheo with the cleanse as well as the TP. The next few fights are going to mean so much. Baron down, yes, but the Dragon spawning in a minute and 30 seconds.
Let's not forget that last year, Misfits was 1 game away from Worlds, and they fell short to Inspired Viego. Then they had to deal with the Fnatic Miracle Run all the way through the lower bracket. Again, they went to the full 5 games, and then a nail-biter. They were 1 game too short of qualifying to the World Championship once again. This series, if they win, they will lock a spot at Worlds. They will lock a spot at Malmö. And they want to be able to have that opportunity as the organization's last stance. To represent Europe at the World Championship means so much to this organization. And you can see it in how they play. They're going toe-to-toe with the current reigning champions in Europe. This team, since their loss to Fnatic, has not lost a best of 5 here in Europe. They went 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. What a feat it would be is if they are able to upset G2 and secure a victory in this best of 5.
And Misfits, the first team to take a game off G2 domestically since Fnatic in round 1 of Spring. In a best of 5, that is. Have to see what they can do. The GA now completed. Pressure on for both sides, no doubt. G2 get the luxury of knowing that they're already qualified for Worlds, yes, but you want to be top 2 in that qualification. You want to go directly to groups. You do not want to have to fight your way through play-ins. For Misfits, guaranteed top 3 seed. If they make it out here, guaranteed ticket to Malmö, as you highlighted. Pressure rising for both sides as we get ready for this fight. G2 trying to play through the bottom lane, looking to get as much setup as they can.
Dragon spawning. Vetheo will have to... He did actually TP onto midwave and will push it in. Now it's on G2. Caps just goes forwards, gets Neon and Mersa's flash already. Will wait for the cooldown rotation. 11,000 HP on this Dragon. Let's watch Jankos as well, because he has flash of his own. He can get on top of Neon if he wants to.
Vetheo on the side as well. Both sides fishing for a flank, looking for any opportunity. Jankos, and AK help. Getting lower, getting burned through very quickly. Kalista Wrench should make this an easy steal.
Zara's looking.
Zanzarah locked up. They're debating where do they want to go. Jankos into the backside onto Neon. The knockup is coming in, but Neon's still standing strong. The front line standing strong. Caps is not able to hit the back line quite yet. They're trying to burn through. Targamas buying time. Zanzarah now taken down. The Dragon 3K getting lower. Misfits, are they going to commit for this one? It's absolutely psychotic. They stay in. Caps, just like that, scoops up 3 and is the difference maker for this team. But Neon still stands strong. Neon gets one back in return, but he will back away. G2 take the Dragon. G2 take the fight.
And it's all Caps. He does so much damage from so much range, chunks out Misfits constantly, and then eventually when they're low enough, he strikes, he pounces, and shuffles 3 of them into all of G2.
You could see how tense of a fight it was. Everyone was waiting for someone to pull the trigger, and Zanzarah is looking for a target. BrokenBlade throws out his ultimate initially to buy a little bit of time, but also keep your eyes on the Fate's Call. Hey, Jankos, as he dives onto the backline to generate pressure. Irrelevant is getting zoned away by both Caps and BrokenBlade, and then you can see here this 3-man knockup comes through from Targamas off the back of Flakked as well, and then Caps comes in to clean up the fight.
He does indeed, and we'll see it right here as he's going to dash forwards and just scoop 3 of them up as they try to re-engage here. Vetheo, he flashes the charm to the side and then re-engages knowing that that CC is down. Manages to get all 3 of them, misses Neon, yes. No, Neon actually spell shields, it would have got 4 really clean from Caps. And going back in that fight there, Zanzarah actually ulted the clone of Jankos, didn't actually land on top of Jankos himself, so made the fight a little bit different. Could have just got the jungler down and then maybe the fight would look different, but good play there by Jankos, and you can see the damage out of both these carries.
You know what this game is about.
Neon versus Caps.
Absolutely. Could not have told it better myself, this damage graph. Doing the game justice. The Sivir versus the Azir. Caps versus Neon. 8-2-5 to the 3-3 and 13. Caps not afraid to throw his body into the midst to be the playmaker, even if it costs him his life.
And I wonder how much gold Caps is sitting on. He had the exact same items when that fight kicked off. He got a couple of kills, so he must be really close to a Rabadon's. Sitting on 900 now, he needs to get that Rabadon's death cap. Once that 4-item power spike comes in for the Azir, I think he's going to be unmatched. Neon trying to get towards that Lord Dominic's, try to shred through the front line of G2, which is building, sliding towards armor. We got a Frozen Heart on BrokenBlade. I think trouble here, Irrelevant. Looking for some kind of pick with the W. Misfits going to reclaim some topside vision. Want to start up this Baron perhaps, or look to bait it.
Have control for now. Into an area though, Mersa has to be careful. Getting poked at, leaping backwards. G2 no vision whatsoever, but Misfits haven't started it yet, using the Sentinel there. Kalista W coming in clutch. Rare that I get to say that, but there it is.
Yeah, we spot out a bit of vision. You saw the Ahri charm just miss out of Fog of 4. BrokenBlade, of course, not running the flash. Misfits is going to start it up, but I think G2 will know. They should have blue orbs. Nice little chunk there from Vetheo onto Targamas. G2 stepping forwards. Misfits need to have a bloody good turn if they want to win this fight.
Crazy. Keep your eyes on Mersa. The E is going to be everything to stop the engage. Vetheo off to the side, hoping to get something.
Oh, Irrelevant's just getting killed.
Irrelevant getting chipped away, and he needs to take the fruit. No, Caps finding the kill before the fight even breaks out. It's absolutely split. Vetheo off to the side, getting picked up by Jankos, but keep your eyes on Neon. Neon is the one that matters. It is Neon versus Caps, and right now Caps is winning. Flakked coming in, dealing so much damage, but he cannot finish the kills. Neon off to the side, uncontested for now. They're trying to take down Caps. Caps looking for 2v1, no, a 3v1.
No,
Caps versus the world, and it is Caps who will come out on top, still standing, as Targamas takes down Vetheo. Neon still standing. Mersa there to try to body block, try to bait them in.
1 versus 4,
Neon, can you do it? He's got the GA. Jankos invisible. Neon takes down 1. Maybe Neon is enough. No, there's no way. BrokenBlade in. Neon down. The GA coming out. Good night, sweet prince. G2 will take the fight.
Oh boy, Caps is stepping up massive for G2 in this game, single-handedly winning them the fight. Targamas clutch as well with the eat. Caps, he knew he went too deep and Targamas was there to save him.
Just in the replay, just watch Caps. Just watch how he uses his range to bully Misfits inside the pit. Vetheo tries to find a flank, but again, just keep your eyes on what Caps is doing here. He's putting soldiers over the wall, and he's just chipping away at Irrelevant. He's basically solo killing the Renekton before he gets involved in the fight, and with Baron helping as well, he then finds that initial solo kill, and the fight breaks out.
And this is where Caps maybe goes too deep because he gets ulted. Watch Targamas here. He sees after the Callistals, just goes on top of them, eats Caps up straight away in the Skarner ult, spits him back out. Caps continues doing Caps things next to Flakked, who's also having a fantastic game. Singles out Zanzarah. Vetheo tries to peel, but in the 2v1, dodges away from the charm, fights Zanzarah. Vetheo's combos down. Targamas is back here to help his buddy out. And Neon can't find a target. The fight's just way too split. He needs a front to back. He needs people in front of him so he can actually hit targets close to him on the short range Sivir, but it's Caps that's making the fight so messy.
Remind me, Drakos, how do they spell God?
CAPS, Vedius. CAPS.
Oh my god, what a performance from him. Zanzarah though, on
for the pick. Waiting for Jankos, is going to pull him back down to the team. They can stun him down, they can lock him up. He's
Wait a minute.
spinning, he's spinning. Maybe they can get it done. Jankos buying a brief moment. The GA now about to come up. Now Targamas looking for the re-engage, can just eat him up right now. Flakked off to the backside, completely untouched. Irrelevant, trying to stop Caps from getting anything else done. It's a scrappy, it is a messy fight. Neon still standing. Irrelevant tries to take down Caps, but he is not ready for the 1v1. Neon untouched for now, slowed briefly.
Neon
flashing forward. Neon absolutely fearless. What is he doing? Cut down. He throws it all away. He sees a window of opportunity, and the window closes right in his face.
Neon does everything that he can to try and win the fight for Misfits, but it is just not enough. Flakked and Caps are ripping through these team fights, and with 27 kills to 16, G2 will secure another dragon, another tower, and they're looking to break the base of Misfits.
On Dragon Soul point now as well, looking for that Infernal Soul. TP top by Caps, like you said, to get that top tower. Flakked sitting at 10-1 and 13. Caps sitting at 7-3 and 16. The carries of G2 stepping up, the front line going forwards, and Caps is just making a montage in this game.
And while Caps is making the montage, you're right, we can't underrate the contributions of Flakked and Targamas especially. It was one hiccup, one mistake on the Devour. Since then, it's been clean in every single fight. While Caps is diving in,
He's
fishing for
feeling it.
plays. Maybe he can get a little bit more. Crown falling away.
Wow, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Drakos. Like, when you really think about what it is, I mean, let's watch Flakked and Targamas in this play, because the initial pick comes down onto Jankos. Good use of the clone to buy a little bit of time, but he also has the GA. BrokenBlade doing what he can to also buy time with the ultimate as the rest of Misfits funnel in, but Caps is yet to arrive to the fight. Then you'll see Flakked bringing in the Tahm Kench, throw him into the fight, and then just dishing out whatever damage he can.
Yeah, Renekton's trying to buy time. It looks like Jankos' clone was the one that saved him there after he got spat out. Targamas falls. He's the hero for G2 there to make sure that their jungler lives, and it's Flakked on Caps on the backline. Neon knows he has to make a hero play here. Thought he could get enough damage out, but the shield bow and heal comes through. The spell shield slightly early maybe, because maybe could have used it for the stun off Sejuani. Manages to take out Jankos. Zanzarah flashing on top of Caps. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication there from Misfits. Caps quick to punish.
You know, I think that Neon was slowed by something, because it looked like when he flashed over the wall, he wanted to get auto into the Q off.
The Rend, I believe.
Because that slow, I really think made the difference in him being able to get that kill. You could see the idea in his eyes. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite pan out for him. Misfits now backs against the wall as G2 have their eyes on the Nexus and game 2.
No Baron buff though, so Neon will be able to clear these waves out quite quickly. Zanzarah looking for Jankos again, might find himself another pick. W will be used, Targamas in the vicinity, Flash coming up soon, and 6-item Sivir, almost a 6-item Azir, 6-item Kalista. We're in the late game right now, so all of these builds will be finished soon. Guardian Angels picked up for Irrelevant. Jankos will be back up soon. G2 definitely favored now with this gold lead.
And it's just so hard for Misfits to play this game out. Mersa obviously is going to feel good in so many situations. He's going to limit what the Kalista can do, but the Azir soldier is so happy to just ignore so much of Braum's defensive utility. Cap's such a hard man to lock
just
down.
melts
Just
these
walking up.
He has the blue pod as well.
Oh, he's just absolutely obliterating the structures of Misfits. Misfits holding on for a final stand here.
Observers, can you very quickly click on Caps for us? Let's see how much ability power he's currently sitting on. 703 with the attack speed that he gets from the Nashes as well. He just melts through any objective that's in his way.
Yeah, and even if you kill Caps, Flakked is sitting on 6 items, 10 kills Kalista, so he's dishing out a lot of damage on the front line too. It's just Caps with the range can dish out a little bit more DPS than him. Now they're setting up on this mid wave. The problem Misfits have is they don't have any poke. How do they proc this Crown of the Shadow Queen of Caps? Luckily for them, the Sivir Q actually lands onto Caps there, so he might have to be a bit more patient in the way he approaches these fights, but the poke isn't there for Misfits to crack it before the important fights kick off. 1 minute on the Baron. G2 are just going to keep up the pressure until that objective spawns. See if Misfits want to defend. If they do, then they'll play a little bit further back. If Misfits make one little mistake, they will take that tower down.
Caps to another Braum Q. Zanzarah, though, he doesn't have his flash available just yet. Caps does. So does Jankos. Targamas as well. So Targamas will be able to dive in, grab someone to safety, and then disengage if he needs to. But G2, they're going to back off for now. Misfits have been able to hold the line, but the Baron spawns in 45 seconds, and G2 are going to use this window to get a bit of vision, steal away what they can, and set up for that next big objective.
And it's so easy for Caps to play incredibly aggressive. He has the crown, he has the stopwatch, he has Targamas waiting. Eat him up if you overextend. For Misfits, it's so frustrating because they can take away the crown. They can hit him once or twice, they can take 30% of his HP, but they know that if they overcommit trying to punish him, and the Tahm Kench comes through, they will lose the fight.
Definitely very G2 favored right now. Misfits' only last hero is Neon. 100% kill participation right now. Has the Guardian Angel back up. Flash coming up as well soon. So the team fights are extremely hard for Misfits. The only shining light right now is Neon. If G2 make a mistake, they can get a good Skarner ult, a good Ahri charm onto one of the key targets. Neon will clean them up.
Mersa In trouble, Mersa going to be picked off. A clean flash over the wall. Zanzarah debating if he wants to flash and follow up. Mersa retreating back to his team. Just a flash out from the Braum. No other major cooldowns.
That was a Wukong ult and a Sejuani ult used. The Misfits would see that. They want to fight now.
Zanzarah now stepping forward, looking to lock the credit. Oh, Caps whips! We sing his praises, but in the clutch moment, maybe he comes up short. Will it be enough? Caps still standing.
He's
Caps
down.
down. Misfits find the fight. All it took was a single mistake. Jankos locks off to the side. He will get taken down. He goes into GA. He's called down. Now it's Flakked versus the world, but they're getting chipped. They're getting ripped to pieces. Flakked is so strong. But they don't need to bet it all here. They're backing away. They're playing this one out slowly. Misfits fishing for an opportunity to fight Flakked, but they cannot afford to overextend.
BrokenBlade could TP in the base here if Misfits go towards the Baron. Flakked could buy time. The waves are coming in. He could go for the back door if he has Demolish. Flakked and Jankos might just buy time so he can look for it. But Vetheo has based. Irrelevant has based. They know that the back door is an option. They have TPs just in
TP
case.
down. They want the
Dragons up. Yes, they do.
See Jankos. They see Jankos.
They turn this one back. Waiting, 2K getting lower and lower.
They've gone for the Drake. They've gone for the Drake instead. The question is, can Misfits get there in time?
They have to sprint there. They have to run there. They have to use any TPs that they've got. There's
Flakked
no
on the
wards
way
down
too.
here, though, so they can't TP in.
Jankos has
They need to
ulti.
collapse. 11k HP. Zanzarah's face checking.
Walking backwards, getting knocked up. Neon now going to be in trouble trying to flash out to safety. Mersa buying as much time as humanly possible. Spellsword coming in a little bit early, but here comes Flakked. Vetheo going wide on the snare. Maybe he has enough damage. Just maybe, but no! Flakked too strong. Jankos off to the side. Irrelevant now coming in. But maybe living up to his namesake. There's a TP top. G2 looking to close it out here. G2 going for the throat. They will not give Misfits any more time. Jankos moving in to cancel the backs. He might give his life to Irrelevant, but it is G2 with their sights on the Nexus, their sights on the win, their sights on match point as they move in, looking to close this out. Vetheo whipping on the charm. Will take away the crown. A TP now coming in from Irrelevant. Maybe they can hold Cap stepping forward. Knock back to the rest of the team. Flakked shredding through this Renekton effortlessly. He is monstering Irrelevant. G2 walking away, backing off. Irrelevant going to get taken down. They're taking their time. Flakked now legendary, and that is it. G2, a nail-biting finish, but they will find the win.
The bait and switch from G2 at the very end, using the Dragon as a way to force Misfits into that fog of war, get the turnaround, and end the game. Zanzarah made an incredible play onto Caps. I don't know if he accidentally whipped his R or if it was intentional, because you saw him flash in, stop. Then after the ultimate came through, that was when he ulted onto Caps. And like, it was truly incredible, the fact that they were able to shut Caps down like that and secure the Baron. But then G2, they just one-upped it and they turned the game around again.
It was such a clutch play, but then we see the power of the double carry threat. Flakked was doing so much to keep G2 alive, buy them time so that they could disengage, lure them into this Dragon, and then go for the Baron at the base.
And I think that's what's so incredibly clutch, is that when your first carry makes a mistake or stumbles, that the second carry is there, ready to step up in that key moment. That is what we wanted to see from Flakked. That is what we saw in that game from Flakked. This has been Huey, Dewey, and Louie. But to break down some of those crazy fights we just witnessed, here's the Danish duo, Guldborg and Broxah.
And thank you very much, Drakos. Yes, I am standing by my Danish brethren. Broxah here to break down some plays from that game, but I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like, we have some team fights ready, but nothing compares to what we just watched. This game has been insane.
That final fight, the Zanzarah playing Caps, and then that still wasn't enough. What a banger.
I can't believe it. Honestly, can't believe it. Well, we start out with the first fight here. You can get the overview. So what we're going to be seeing here is the fact that they're taking control from the side of Misfits, finally around the Baron area. The game has been so back and forth, but finally they start to have the priority. You can see it on the minimap where the members are currently located from G2 and Caps down towards the bot side. They don't have the members here to facilitate the vision control you need around the Baron. So in turn, as we continue the play, you can see the Misfits, they're going to be the one taking charge here as we continue the play. And there we have it. And I think what's really clever this time around is the fact that Jankos is the one getting a hit immediate here, but they don't want to use the Targamas ultimates that we have currently, because what we see earlier is actually the fact that Jankos died because the Targamas ultimate was used on him, and then they couldn't use it for Flakked. So they buy space here. I think Caps is really crucial, as well as buying time and keeping Jankos alive.
Like Jankos just baiting out the Skarner ult was so huge. They didn't even kill him, and now Misfits immediately go to the Baron. But G2 is in such a good spot to go on them. It's so risky because the only one you pushed out is Jankos. And now, sure, they get the Baron. They are trying trying to, you know, fight back a little, but here, realistically, they just have to run for their lives because the fight position is so good. Flakked caps, they can just hit as much as they want.
And as we talk about it here, what's so crucial in this is the patience from caps, right? Any mid laner would have probably tried to go in for that Shurima shuffle immediately and try to find the pick there, but he waits for it for the right time where it's so crucial, where he sees them grouped up completely, which in turn just, yes, they lose the Baron, but despite that, they're still able to continue and pick up the kills, which really put them in a good position. Now we take a look at the Drake fight as well that we had earlier, which really also put them in a peculiar situation where it looked dire in the beginning, but they managed to pick it up. And I think once again, Cap's such a standout player that we have so often. But as we roll the clip, you can see G2, they are the one finally taking charge here. They are the one finally coming through. But I think really crucial ultimate on Zanzarah, who's so fully sped up on the Sarah, but they still managed to move forward.
Worth noting that literally no one has their flashes available right now. And now we're going to see Caps in the backline hitting once again, looking for the angle. Finishing the Drake, playing for the soul, and now we see it. Here it comes. Literally no one has flash. Caps shuffles 3 people single-handedly, wins the fight for his team, and after this, it's so hard for Misfits to play the game.
And you know, it's so funny. As soon as the game ended, I saw a lot of people with the draft going on like, oh, why have they put Caps on Azir? What's he going to be able to do this game now? They really want to lose. Well, I think I had a good idea with it, with that massive performance. This is the reason he's regarded the best European mid laner we have.
It's our Danes, you know. Power of Denmark.
Can't take that away.
Right there.
So for next season, if you want that to happen, start to invest in some Danes. But as we look forward to a Game 4, we will be taking a short break, so don't you go everywhere. We will be right back.